Okay, warriors, let's talk about the Carnival Cruise Line Travel Protection Plan. We all know, probably better than most, how sickness can creep in and ruin a fabulous vacation. So with that in mind, I called the insurance carrier directly and asked a ton of questions, and I strongly recommend that you all do the same. So, after you've made the decision that you want to participate, you've talked to your doctor, you've been very proactive about your health, hydrate, maybe a blood transfusion if necessary, and you are going to come. Well, there's an option that I really strongly recommend that we all participate in, and that is the Carnival Cruise Line Travel Protection Plan. Now, I spoke to Berkeley Care representatives, who apparently is part of the underwriting for that, and I asked a lot of questions about what is and what is not included. So I've linked the phone number. I recommend you call them as well and let them know what you're calling about. So here's what I've learned. Scene change. Okay, there are two very important components, in my opinion, to travel protection for these type of cruises. One, what happens if you fall sick prior to the trip? Will that be taken care of? Will you get your money back? And two, what happens if you go into crisis or if something occurs on the cruise, out in the open sea or in the Bahamas? So, as far as that latter is concerned, that part of the trip protection is taken care of by On Call International. I'm linking the phone number now. Now, I will recommend that you call and ask your own questions. I've called a few times, and those that I've spoken to, there is no upfront fee. There's no money that has to change hands. If you fall sick on the cruise, you can be evacuated. Now, this is how it works. What happens if it requires more than oxygen, IV fluids, minor medications, things that can be taken care of in the medical facilities on board the ship, then it will be taken care of there. If, however, you decide and the onboard physician decides that it's going to require more than that and you need to get to a hospital, what happens is they will evacuate you to the nearest approved medical facility, and for our purposes, that hospital is in Florida. You will be evacuated to the hospital in Florida. You will be stabilized, and then if you require further admission, you can be admitted there and stabilized, or they will take you home. So if they won't put you on a plane, if you flew in from California, they will take you to your hospital in California. They will get in contact with your doctor. Now, all of this is covered with this Berkeley Travel Protection Plan, up to $30,000. And the person that I spoke to said she has never heard of any case of evacuation from the Bahamas that has exceeded more than $15,000 or $20,000. So up to $30,000 you're covered. Now, if we were going to Alaska, that might be a different story. But from the Bahamas, evacuation, medical treatment, all of that is covered. Now, the second part of that, if you fall sick before the cruise, there is two things that can happen. If you cancel your trip for a covered reason, and that includes sickness, anything like that, then you can get up to 100% refund up to 2 weeks prior to we take off. However, if you cancel your trip for a non-covered reason, then what happens is you get 75% of the trip back towards a future trip. Now, there's a catch to this. This part of the trip cancellation does have a 60-day pre-existing condition clause. What that means is, if you have been treated by the hospital, your doctors, you've been hospitalized within 2 months prior to purchasing the insurance. So that's not prior to the trip, but prior to when you purchase the insurance. And they've been recommended that you not travel, you've been hospitalized within those 2 months, then you fall within a pre-existing condition clause, and you will not get 100% of your refund back. The way that they explained it to me is, in that case, you would get 75% towards another trip. However, if you have been relatively healthy, taking your regular medications, getting your regular blood transfusions, regular treatment, regular maintenance of sickle cell within 2 months prior to that, then that does not fall into the pre-existing condition clause. If, however, you have had to be hospitalized within those 2 months prior to purchasing it, So for example, I've been sick recently, but I did not require hospitalization. I took care of it on an outpatient basis. So within the past 2 months, if I purchased it right now, I would not fall into that 60-day pre-existing condition clause. So if I purchased it today and then get sick tomorrow, that does not count. It's 60 days prior to purchasing the policy. Now, that's what I learned. I do again recommend that you call both Berkeley and On Call International and ask your own questions. If you learn something that's different from what I've learned from the various people that I've spoken to, and I have called repeatedly, talked to a lot of different people, asked to speak to supervisors to make sure that I was getting consistent information, then if, however, you hear something different, if they tell you something different, let us know. Put up a response to this video on YouTube. Let us know on the Facebook group. Let us know on the event page. Let us know on the cruise group. Let us know on Twitter. Send an email. Let us know what you learn, and we'll look into this further. But from what I have learned, it sounds like pretty good news to me. If you have any more questions, feel free to email, respond here, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Also, I have uplinked the full travel policy on the group page for this cruise. I'm linking that below. I think it's pretty good news. I'm still really excited.